updates that are now coming in on Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is on his first visit to New Zealand since taking office, and trade and defence that continue to dominate the Prime Minister's agenda in Auckland, as the bilateral talks and delegation-level talks and discussions have now been held. We also got you the opening as far as the Prime Minister, who was thanking his New Zealand counterpart on previous visit as well, and how they're taking their relationship forward. Now, at the table at the crucial bilateral meeting of the two world leaders, the primary focus will be on the follow-up on the implementation of the India-New Zealand Free Trade Agreement. And we must understand why this trade ties that is going to be important between the two countries. So there you can see the exchange of the MOUs that is happening live as we speak. Will depend to the pictures as well. And when it comes to both India and New Zealand that have significant trade links with China, in fact, China continues to remain one of the biggest trading partners of New Zealand as well. But both have now growing concerns over China's expanding military footprint in the Indo-Pacific. So that is what they are now looking to diversify as far as the economic partnership is concerned. Srinjoy, help us understand, of course, when we speak of defense and security relations, both of them are also sharing a growing defense and security partnership that is centered around maritime domain awareness, joint exercises, and of course, when it comes to the strategic dialogue in the Indo-Pacific. Live pictures that are now coming in from Auckland.
Quite rightly. The fact that India and New Zealand are going to be strategic partners, this strategic partnership that will be announced very shortly. Prime Minister actually alluded to it. Now that will tell you that the relationship is a wide-ranging one. There will be an economic component. There will be a strategic component. There will be a defense component. There will be everything. It's a huge umbrella. So a strategic partnership means closer economic ties. Most definitely, because it shows, it's a way of saying that, look here, we trust you completely. So we can do defense ties together, we can do maritime ties together, we can do economic ties. You asked about defense. Now, the New Zealand government and India, they want closer defense ties, particularly vis-a-vis the navies. The two navies can work together. Or three countries, Australia, New Zealand, India, they can work together. And as we all know, that the Americans have decided that their Indo-Pacific Command will become the Pacific Command. So what happens to Indo? There, Australia, India, Indonesia, New Zealand, Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, all these countries fit in. And as a result, this will be a particularly important friendship. Now, New Zealand has a population of less than 5 million, but their per capita income is over $50,000. Now, that means for India, it's a big market. Not only traditional things like tea and coffee and spices, but also pharma, IT services, machinery, all of that will actually help the two countries. So these trade and investment ties are important. The defense ties are important, and also sports. Now this is not talked about so much, but at the highest levels of Indian government, there has been one question. How is it that New Zealand, with a population of less than 5 million, yes, we know they are world beaters in rugby and cricket and so on. They win 17 gold medals in the last two Olympics combined. In 1928, India, since then, India has won 10. So sports management cooperation, that is sponsorship, training, talent spotting, sports medicine, all of that will play a very big role in this relationship. So strategic relationship, that's the umbrella in which you have trade, you have defense, you have sport, you have investment, you have people-to-people relationship, you have a whole gamut of things.
Absolutely, because the pictures that have been coming in, of course, you know, when we speak speak of the wider maritime network is something that why India and New Zealand are now looking forward to it, especially becoming genuine partners, as New Zealand's military may be modest, but so to say its geography is something which is very important, and intelligence links and its surveillance network that may make it very valuable as far as for India is also concerned. And of course, when we speak of the commercial aspect, which is the FTA, Akansha, that between India and New Zealand, of course, the defense relationship could shape how both countries navigate in the increasingly contested Indo-Pacific. But the FTA is something that we are now looking forward to.
Absolutely. And if we can say that the FTAs or say this economic partnerships nowadays, whether it is with other Western countries or the ones in the Oceania region, we can see that it is the economic partnerships which are paving the path towards strategic partnership as well. And that's why it's important to highlight what New Zealand is going to bring to the table for India. You're looking at sectoral growth. As we've been talking about, we are not just looking at times which are geopolitically divided, they are also geo-economically divided thanks to the Trumpian tariffs, which is why India has this need to diversify, and when it will be lowering that trade tariff barrier for New Zealand, we could be looking towards garnering close to $20 billion worth in investments. And India and New Zealand both are looking towards doubling their trade and goods and services by the year 2030. That's the goal. More importantly, you're looking at sectors like gems and jewelry, leather, footwear, textiles, dairy. All of these sectors, remember, are those sectors which have been heavily impacted by the US tariffs. And so for Prime Minister to be embarking on this three-nation tour and looking towards trade has been extremely significant when it comes to, sort of amping up our bilateral trade with countries like New Zealand, which currently at the most are, engaging in trade worth close to $2.5 billion. Yeah. India, though, is looking towards New Zealand because it's our second largest bilateral trading partner in the Oceania region. So we'll have to see what all emerges. People-to-people ties is another very significant aspect, Amita, given that we are also looking towards having student visas be issued as work visas post their studies. Can we address the security aspect for Indians over there? The safety and security will also be featuring in the bilateral engagements. We just played out that interview with the Indian High Commissioner to New Zealand, where she's rightly highlighted that, yes, the Khalistani menace is also being discussed at the highest levels. It's being part of the bilateral engagement talks. And Prime Minister also right now, while addressing, spoke about how New Zealand and India are both countries which are very diverse and respectful of the diversity in their countries. We also have shared democratic values. So let's see what emerges through these MOUs.
Absolutely, because the exchanges are happening currently as we speak. And, this visit that also marks to enjoy a major milestone when we speak of bilaterals between India and New Zealand. Because this strategic partnership that is expected to elevate the relationship, and as we have been pointing out, several sectors that include trade, defense and sports. But alongside the proposed upgrade in ties, both sides are also looking forward and working towards a possible free trade agreement and deeper defense cooperation in the Indo-Pacific. Because, Srinjoy, this is now coming in from New Zealand and India, making rapid progress on the trade agenda and the new strategic partnership that would provide a broader framework when it comes to expanding cooperation beyond the proposed free trade agreement.
When you look at defense, this is something that is not talked about so much. There will really be three areas where people will work together. One, closer intelligence sharing. Second, interoperability. And third, training, which also means that that possibility of more New Zealand officers being trained in India and vice versa will happen. So closer defense ties means better knowledge of the Indo-Pacific as well. If you have real-time transfers of intelligence between the two countries, it shows enormous trust. And this can come under this strategic partnership that is being talked about. Now, defense is always a crucial issue. And at this time, it is more so because there is a pinch. There is an uncertainty in the Indo-Pacific. There is a level of insecurity in the Indo-Pacific. So that has to be kept in mind. Besides that, as you rightly said and has been talked about, economic issues are very important. Here is a country, less than 5 million people, but with a per capita income of $50,000. How much more than India's is that? So keeping that in mind, it's a great opportunity for India to export to New Zealand. And therefore, it's this free trade agreement and enhancing the free trade agreement which is likely to happen. And then New Zealanders wanted more.
Yeah.
They are the ones. Luxon is the one, apparently, who has spoken about this more.
Yeah.
They want this agreement to be enhanced. And you would expect that to happen this time. So the strategic partnership, defense, economic issues, sport, all of this. Let's not forget the first Indian sporting team that went to New Zealand was in 1926, a hockey team captained by Dhyan Chand. Now, this is something that both countries want to keep in mind. So, as a result, this is looking like a very serious partnership for the future.
Absolutely, and this is something that has now been looking upon. Of course, when it comes to this seems to be a common ground that we are now looking at as far as why, Prime Minister included Indonesia, Australia and New Zealand as far as his 3 countries visit in its Act East policy. But this is something which the Prime Minister has just mentioned as far as his opening remarks are concerned, where he's recalled the importance of the ties and why this visit will be shaping up the next chapter for the stability of the Indo-Pacific. Well, when we speak of India also encouraging creation of more opportunities for Indian students as well, seeking quality education, both sides are also working to facilitate the mobility of professionals and also skilled workers, also addressing when it comes to the commitment to supporting an open and inclusive, stable and prosperous Indo-Pacific where sovereignty and territorial integrity is something that is being respected. And as the significant component of the newly signed trade agreement, mobility will continue to become an important focus area for India. And the meetings that it looks to improve the prospects of high-skilled Indian workers. And India seems to have also stressed before New Zealand and other countries that hassles that are faced by such professionals over a period of time, Akansha, have the effect of a de facto non-tariff barrier. So this is something which India seems to be raising this issue before New Zealand.
Absolutely. And in fact, if I were to share some points over here with you, that student mobility will in fact be a major part of the FTA that has already been signed in April this year. We are being told that it's going to be hinging on creating professional pathways, especially for Indian students as well. Many of these students could also get temporary work visas in New Zealand. More importantly, you're looking at professionals also arriving in New Zealand on temporary employment entry with a quota of 5,000 visas for skilled Indians to stay up to 3 years. Then there's going to be a working holiday visa for 1,000 young Indians annually who can avail multiple entry in New Zealand for a period of 12 months. These are all aspects that we've received from the PIB as far as the Indian FTA with New Zealand is concerned. But now here's what the potential concerns are going to be as this FTA arrives in the New Zealand Parliament for ratification, because as High Commissioner was also highlighting, there's a lot of debate around it. And when we talk about debate, there are many from the Aboriginal community there, also the New Zealanders who are against immigration. Then there's also this sentiment where they feel that the evangelical Christians in New Zealand feel that they cannot open up their country to other minority cultures. They've not just attacked, say, the Indians, they've also verbally attacked other communities, whether they are Islamic, Buddhists, and so on and so forth. So much hinges on Prime Minister Modi's diplomacy to build that trust. We've already spoken about how Prime Minister Lakson has been very keen on building this partnership. Let's hope that that trust deficit, say, if there is at all some, within certain communities in New Zealand, is sort of bridged as Prime Minister embarks on this historic visit.
Absolutely. So what's, on the cards that we're expecting? The announcements around easier student visas, academic collaborations, and also professional mobility are expected during this visit. And also speaking of the pictures of this traditional welcome that has been accorded to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, it's called the Maori welcome at the Government House in Auckland. That reflects New Zealand's rich indigenous heritage and the warmth of its hospitality. Let's take a look.
ये स्वागत दोनों देशों के बीच सम्मान, दोस्ती और सांस्कृतिक जुड़ाव का
So that's the traditional Maori welcome that has been accorded to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The pictures that are also being shared by Prime Minister Narendra Modi as the engagements in the bilaterals.
It was a pleasure having you here on Times Now.
It was my pleasure too. Thank you.